Kia ora koutou, Mark Robinson here, Principal of Paraparaumu College, and delighted today to welcome Abi and Rhylee, two of our Year 12 students. Now, Abi and Rhylee take global studies as a subject, and as part of that subject, they had to undertake a social action to figure out something they were really passionate about, and then go and do some research on it, and then present some information to some very important people. So we're going to find out a bit more about that today. But just to start us off, talk to us a little bit about your social action and the work that you've been doing, and why you chose what you chose.
For our social action, we just wrote a submission to a select committee, to the Justice Select Committee. And a select committee is a group of MPs, or like members of parliament, who work together to look through bills or bill amendments that are going through parliament at the time, and discuss them and make conclusions and decisions on them as part of the legislation process. And we decided to write a submission on the Corrections Victim Protection Amendment Bill.
Yeah, so this is a bill that gives legal protections to victims of violent crimes, keeping them from unwanted contact between them and a perpetrator in prison. And so this is really important because there is a real issue within the justice system about victims being forgotten or left behind once their perpetrator is in prison, and thinking that the effects of a crime stop there. And so we had a real connection to this bill after talking to people in this field who had worked with corrections. I spoke to my mum at Living Without Violence, or some of the people there who really had strong thoughts about this, and so did we. So we wanted to do something around that.
And Abi, you mentioned that it was a written submission initially.
Yes.
I think brought about by the fact that you were very busy with Greece. You were both in Greece and both very busy rehearsing, so a written submission was the way to go. But then I understand that the select committee was so impressed with what you'd written, they actually invited you to come in person. Now, tell us about that experience of being there in person, and what that was like.
Well, they did invite us to make an oral submission or an in-person submission, and we could do it in person or by Zoom. While we were there were students there, tertiary students, doing a submission via Zoom. But we went in person, and it wasn't actually in the Beehive. It was at number 1 The Terrace, which is another government building. And they gave us this very detailed email of instructions with how to actually get to the select committee rooms, and it got so detailed that there was one instruction that was like, call the elevator using the down button, and we had a good laugh at that because we thought, well, that's a little bit over the top, but we did actually end up getting in the wrong elevator, so yeah. Maybe it wasn't too over the top.
So we got in the right elevator, and we get down to the select committee room. And, there's a bit of a wait as they finish what they're doing and other people are giving their speeches. And we get called in, and we got to see some other people speak. There were law students, and there were people from the Human Rights Commission. And so everyone speaks for about 10 minutes. We gave a 5-minute presentation where we both spoke about our submission and what we thought of the bill. And then there are about another 5 minutes for the committee to ask questions and have a bit of a discussion.
We had questions from Rima Narkle, who was a national MP that had presented the bill, and from Tamitha Paul.
The Greens MP for Wellington.
Right. And I also understand that you were there in person, but several others weren't. They were via Zoom, and the select committee made a point of saying how cool it was to actually interact with teenagers and young people in schools. And so I guess thinking about advice to others, if you're in a school and you're passionate about something and you see that you can really make a difference, maybe through a social action or something else, what advice would you give?
I would say that submissions to select committees are really good ways to get your voice out there and to engage with government. It's really easy, so don't be too stressed or nervous about it. The process is really easy, and everyone is super there to help you and guide you.
I did find the MPs and even the security people at the screening when you're entering the room, everyone is lovely and polite, and they were all very excited to actually hear from secondary school students, and they don't take you any less seriously than everyone else, and they are very willing and able to hear you.
They really value youth voice, and so they really are wanting to welcome you into that environment.
That's awesome. Well, look, Abi and Rhylee, we could talk for ages about this. I know that there's more detail in your submission than we've had time to talk about today. We will put the link to a YouTube clip which shows Abi and Rhylee giving their submission to the select committee. So check out that in the description in the video below. But thank you very much to you all for your time today. Thank you to Abi and to Rhylee for your time, and thanks to everyone for watching. Have a very good day. Kia pai tau rā.